Day trading for small accounts. This segment was inspired by one Katie McGarrigle, who has been really fantastic metal. Now, would you have thought this coming out of university? Like, I'm going to be a metals trader at some point. You have been putting up some great metals trades here in 2021 using the small precious metals futures. And they might not technically be day trades a lot of the times, but they borrow a lot of the ideas of day trading. Maybe give people a little rundown of what you've been doing in your small account with metals futures.
Yeah, for sure. So, it kind of got started earlier. I mean, of course, you guys have had this product in your repertoire since you rolled out last year. But this year, I was particularly inspired to improve my short-term trading, whether it is through day trading or, swing trading, which is a little bit of a longer time duration. If you guys want to learn about beginner day trading, we also have an article on it on tastytrade.com that we just published. So shameless plug there because we worked really hard to get that done and up for everybody. But when we do the trade talks, which have been kind of our fake live events because of the pandemic, I was really inspired to do a piece on gold futures. And what I started to discover as I was learning about the best way to present the information to everybody was that in a lot of instances, yes, it's great. You can use gold. It's a liquid product. The gold futures options are also, pretty liquid. But at the same time, if you want that static delta and you just want that pure exposure to these precious and semi-precious metals, there's not a lot of opportunity out there to kind of get in that. So with that, long story long, I've been doing a lot more SPRE trading, especially because it feels like the gold markets have been a little bit disjointed from how people historically see them, whether it's, gold as a safe haven against economic uncertainty or in times of inflation. So because of the fact that gold can't seem to really get on its legs, same thing for silver. We've seen a lot of movement in that gold-silver ratio as well. I thought SPRE was a nice small way for me to put on a trade, walk away for a couple of hours and not, either have some profits or not have too much of pain if it didn't work out in my favor. So right now, I think I'm a little bit under on my gold and my SPRE trades for the year, but I'm slowly chipping away because of the fact that I'm trying to take these small wins, hit singles, rather than try to hit a home run every single time.
A bunch of great stuff in there to unpack. And we'll get to SPRE and the strategy behind Katie's day trades or swing trades here in a second. But you pose a great initial point, which is like, a lot of people are like, why would I go to futures? I've learned options and I have, all these Greeks in my bag and I can do so many different things here. You can't really day trade or even swing trade with options. They move a little bit too slow. Like you say, you want that static delta every once in a while. When there's a big move on any given day, you don't want to necessarily like, oh, it's a big move lower, I'll sell a put and then I want to buy that put back. Even if there's a bounce back, it's going to take at least like a day or two to really give you what you want. You're afforded more cushion and more less risk with selling that put than buying that market, but it's just tougher to do a short-term trade or a scalp, so to speak, with those options markets. And that's where futures really come in, is like you see a short-term opportunity in metals or any market, and I want to just buy that opportunity or sell that opportunity and get in and out of it that day or in the next 24, 48 hours like you have with SPRE. And that's where futures are really, really essential also for investment purposes. But day trading is really the bread and butter here. And Katie's been talking about the SPRE market, which is the small metals futures, combines gold, silver, and a little bit of platinum to create just a well-rounded, smaller metals markets than the traditional GC or SI futures. And so what you have here is really a contrarian trader's choice award for market of the year. At least I think it's in the top 3 if there was a contrarian trader's choice award for best market. And it's exactly what Katie was talking about. It's a market that rallied to end 2020. Gold put in new highs for the last decade or so, and then it kind of fell. But we haven't really seen it fall completely out of bed. And we haven't, like you said, Katie, seen it really catch its footing and take off again to the upside. But that's what contrarians love, is a chart like this where it's like, it's shown both sides of the market, but it hasn't gone anywhere. This is what we like to see.
Exactly. Yeah. I was just, when you were talking earlier about using the futures options or options on the ETFs of these corresponding products as well, A, there are, pattern day trading rules around some of those products, but B, I have like very distinct instances where I tried to get cute and do like call ratios or call broken wing butterflies and gold futures options, or I mean, even silver and stuff. And you really have to be able to withstand some pretty big movement in there. But
Sure.
as you mentioned here, this one has more two-sided action, which is exactly what you're looking for when you're looking to day trade, especially in a small account. That's all going to add up in your favor because you're not as able to withstand large moves in these smaller accounts, right? Like the staying in the game is the whole name of the game. So having a two-sided market where you can pick and choose your levels and be long or short and change your idea whenever it suits you is a really valuable tool.
Absolutely right. And a quick point to that size, take a look at the y-axis here in this market. This is a range from $80 at the high down to 70 at $100 per dollar there. It's a $100 multiplier for this product, just like 100 shares of stock. That's $1,000 range. And we're already almost in November. So we've already seen roughly 200 trading days. And each of those days, as we're going to get to in a second, has an average range of about 75 to $100. And the range at large for the whole year, high to low, is $1,000. That's just telling me that I've seen 200 unique days of potential opportunity of almost $100, but this thing hasn't rallied or fallen so far that it's made up more risk from a high-low standpoint of more than $1,000. That's really nice to see. And when I talk about the average day in this market, and when Katie talks about how she loves the small exchange newsletter there, it's for stuff like this. You can quickly go to a market like small metals or our small stocks or our small crypto, small interest rates and everything on down the line, and just get a quick all right, what's the one standard deviation? That's a good idea of what the average daily net change looks like in this market. And then I can look at opportunity around that. We say this all the time where the market shows the best opportunity on a day trading standpoint, Katie, when it gets outside of that standard deviation. And here, it's a very simple 75 cents. And we've seen plenty of days, today included, of dollar plus moves in SPRE. And that's where you usually get into trading, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're calling it out the same way I would. If today's plus or minus range is, above or below, up 73 cents, below 73 cents, and I'm looking right now, SPRE is up 106. Hey, alarm bells are starting to go off. Maybe this is an opportunity for me.
Yeah, because contrarians really look for markets that push the boundaries and then come a little back. Because if you're a contrarian, your idea is not so much stuff is going to change, or outliers are short-lived and few and far between. But if you live in a world where everything is just unchanged every day, there's no opportunity for the contrarian to do anything. And same with the flip side of that coin, being a trend follower. No shade if you are a trend follower and you see that up $1 move in SPRE and you want to ride it further. It's just the flip side of that coin. But we just speak from the contrarian point of view here. And so it's a matter of, Katie, finding those outside of 73 cents moves, but looking at a market like we just showed here on the year is not really going anywhere. That's where you really find the day trading opportunity. And we've seen it. I think you might have actually been in on this day. We saw it when metals really broke down and SPRE got below $70 for a rare moment there and then picked itself up. I actually crunched the numbers because you've been, I think, more on the long side of metals than on the short side, buying those dips as opposed to selling those rallies. And to each their own. You could do both or one or the other. But what I saw, Katie, which I thought was interesting, is on average here in 2021, SPRE has closed 40 cents higher than its low when it's been down. So what does that mean? On any given down day here in 2021 in SPRE futures, the market actually put in a low that day, 40 cents lower than where it closed. That's just telling you that on big down days, there's opportunity to buy those dips and sell them back like you saw here on October 7th. The market fell by almost $1 and then bounced all the way back to unchanged and then drift lower throughout the day. A lot of opportunity to day trade a market that doesn't just move low and then stay there and close there. That's where the day trading opportunity is.
That's amazing. I didn't even realize that. And so again, you're taking the guesswork out for me and crunching the numbers for me. I was definitely in a couple days later than this on the 15th. So I got in right at 71 and out at about 72.18. And the greedy, stingy person in me was like, I'm going to keep riding this wave, like go to whatever. But I know that it's more prudent. And as you even saw by your standard deviation curves, me squeezing out $115 was within like a really respectable profit and loss target based on what you see on a daily basis. So to try to stick it out to maybe make more, maybe not. And now with SPRE trading, 50 cents, not even 40 cents higher than where I got out, that's fine. Like I can always reestablish myself and think about, okay, do I want to get in at a higher level and maybe sell it in hopes of some type of contrarian move or vice versa?
And it's totally fine too. Like what Katie has done is taken these day trading mechanics and made them her, like instead of, so like what you would say from a day trading perspective on numbers like this is like, okay, if the market's down 75 cents or $1 or even $1.50 getting into the rarer moves, then that's an opportunity to buy, vice versa on the upside with selling it. And then you usually on a day trading basis would be like, oh, something realistic is maybe half of that move. And so I buy it down $1 and then I sell it back for a 50-cent profit. But it's totally fine to take these numbers and like Katie has kind of bounce them out to a 48-hour range or a 72-hour range, whatever kind of fits your trading style best. It's totally fine. But yeah, like you say, Katie, the last thing you want to do is kind of like buy a market and then get really stubborn with it after it's up like a good amount, something that is both realistic and good. And then just be like, I'm riding this thing all the way up, because then you miss opportunities like on October 8th, where the market rallies more than $1 and then comes all the way back. And same thing here in terms of that statistic I threw you on down days. On up days, SPRE has closed 30 cents on average away from its highs. And this speaks to that duality of on any given day. And this is so empowering, I think, to people, especially looking to day trade. On any given day, I can just be flat in all of my positions. Everything is starting at unchanged. And I can just look and see, oh, metals aren't moving. Okay, well, stocks are moving. And the standard deviation says this, but it's actually up this. And I can look at that opportunity from a buy and sell perspective in every asset class and not have to worry about former biases or anything like that. Pete Momet has talked to you and me constantly about being able to both buy and sell any market, not like talking yourself into like, oh, I can only buy this thing or only sell it. Because on the flip side of buying the dips in metals, there's been great rallies to sell as well.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, this is, again, super powerful. And I think what you're doing here by sharing this with everybody is there is so much like uncertainty around holding a static leveraged position, right? It kind of goes against what we typically have talked about at Tasty Trade with probability-based durational trading. With these shorter term trades, to see how it's broken down and shooken out. Is shooken a word? Anywho, shooken
One
out.
of them, shaken, shooken, whatever.
Shooken. To see how it's kind of played out over 2021, it really just helps you build an understanding of the markets that you're trading, and also it helps you understand like what your true risk is at any given time. Of course, again, outlier moves happen, especially when we're talking here about day trading, where we're probably not holding a position for more than 24 hours. You still need to be mindful that things can go up or down in larger ranges than you would anticipate. But to know this information and to say, okay, well, even if it did have an update, it might not be closing near its high of the day, like that's really great information to have in your back pocket to help you understand how you can withstand movements in these products when you might not be as familiar with them.
And it lends a little, the standard deviations and the stats that we talked about today here, Katie, gives you a little bit of that probability flavor that options traders are used to. Because I think a lot of people are like, well, it's 50-50 in futures and it's a grind. And, it's what's the thing that they always, it's a zero sum game and everything
Right.
else. And it's like, well, actually, if you look for these edges via standard deviations, via like just me crunching some numbers here on 2021 and being like, metals, more than almost any other asset class, is closing off of its highs and off of its lows, presenting good day trade. That's where you get those probabilities in there matched with the realistic expectations. And I guess we might as well finish this segment off by taking a look at what SPRE is doing today. It's up $1. And just look at the last few days of trading here. The market is up for the last week or so of trading. Silver's up, gold is up, but I'll be damned if this market throughout all of these rallies doesn't rally, give some back, rally, give some back. Yesterday, we saw a nice big rally up to 72. It closed down at 71.5. Today, right now, we're at the highs. And of course, this stuff, probabilities are great and showing all these statistics are great. The outlier can happen and then it can close there. But this is a prime example of a market where you can look at the standard deviation, 73 cents. It's up over $1. I'm going to test out this theory and see where we get to selling the 72.55s, see if I can get that done there. And then
I'm
Katie,
coming
it's a
with
matter.
you.
Awesome. And then we could just look for 30, 40 cents here on a day trade perspective. They've given it to you recently. And if it doesn't happen today, maybe you scratch the trade or you get out for a little loss. But that's what day trading is about, is consistency, going back to these strategies on a day-to-day basis. Thanks so much for joining us here on the day trading front, Katie. It's been an absolute blast. I'm sure you have plenty of other interviews and everything to get to, so I won't take any more of your time. Thanks for joining us, Katie. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Splash into Futures coming up next. Peter Momet, I'm sure, will have some things to say and hopefully some trades to get up on the board. Thanks for watching, everybody. Peace.
Thanks, Frank. Peace.